So I am a children's jewellery historian, and when I was doing my PhD research documenting the history of children's jewellery in Europe way back in the late 90s, so over 20 years ago, what fascinated me, first of all, was the fact that the topic of children's jewellery had never been documented before as a subject in its own right. Therefore, no one knew anything about a historical development of it as a topic. In fact, no one was documenting anything to do with children wearing jewellery or associated with jewellery as a subject of study. In fact, that is still the case today. There's a couple of things that absolutely still blow my mind about this subject. And the first one really is that I was able to chart the topic of children's jewellery back to prehistoric times, specifically evidence of grave finds of children buried with jewellery. Of course, we could argue, well, did these children wear the jewellery in life, or were those pieces only associated with children's burials, or were they passed down from adults? And all of that forms children's jewellery history because it's about jewellery that's associated with children, and that is something that I talk about and document. What amazes me is that when I did my PhD, the earliest example that I was able to find dated to around 10,000 BC. And that absolutely blew my mind on its own, that I was able to say that children were associated with jewellery back to 10,000 BC. But with recent finds, there are now a number of other very significant finds that help me to date jewellery associated with children back to 74,000 BC. And the earliest example of jewellery ever found, we don't know who it belonged to, but it's a series of shell beads dating back 150,000 years. Now, if that's not mind-blowing enough, I don't know what is. So I would say that, as you can probably tell, that period alone of prehistory is probably enough for me to be researching for the next 20 years. And I hope to share more stories about the things that I find out. Let me know if that interests you. Why do you think we wore and made jewellery in prehistory? Why do you think we gave children jewellery in prehistory? Let's have a chat.